Okay, today I'm going to explain two charts. Uh, I hope you like it. The first one is a line chart. The title of this line chart is The Consumption of Soda and Fruit Drinks has increased dramatically. On the left side of the chart, we can see the y axis, which shows the numbers between 0 and 15 values that correspond to the ounces per day ingested by an adult 20 years of age or older, as we can see in the y-axis level and in the legend located in the upper part of the chart. On the other hand, on the x-axis, we can identify several years. Well, below the chart, there is a caption that brings us information about the meaning of the years and the source of the chart. It turns out that this line chart is the result of a calculation based on service data of two institutions in different years between 1977 and 2006. Once we have understood that, we look at the data and see interesting things. During 1977 and 1978, according to the survey, the milk intake was higher than the non diet soda and the fruit drinks intake. On the other hand, between 1977 and 1991, milk intake remained steady and fruit drinks intake was looking alike. However, during that years, the non-soda diet intake was increasing slightly until it reached the same intake as the milk. Taking this into account, we have to think about what was happening between 1977 and 1991. During that years, increased the advertising from soda retailers such as Coca-Cola and Pepsi-Cola because of the competition between them. This was an impulse of massify and create new products. For example, the purchase of Pizza Hut, Taco Bell, and Kentucky Fried Chicken, and 7 Up International by Pepsi Cola, and also the introduction of Diet Coke to the market in 1982. In addition, vending machines began to be used on a massive scale due to the modernization of these machines. From 1991 and 1998, we can identify a decrease in milk intake and a slight increase in fruit drinks intake, but a significant rise in non-diet soda consumption per day, even even if in 1994 appeared the first studies linking sugary drinks to weight gain, probably this was the result of the mix of pop culture with the big soda retailers and the sugar addiction and the merchandising characteristic of the soda industry in the 90s. And well, from 1998 to 2002, we see the peak, the highest point reached on the chart by the non-diet soda, but also we can identify an increase in milk and juice drinks intake, probably because of the beginning of the controversy related to the soda consumption. Finally, from 2002 to 2008, there's a decrease in non-soda ingest because of the controversy. In 2004 was published the first connection with type 2 diabetes and soda consumption. Also, we report conditions such as tooth decay and obesity. That decrease is contribute to, among other factors, an increased awareness of the dangers of obesity and government efforts to improve diets. Nevertheless, milk intake per day decreased and fruit drinks intake increased slightly. In conclusion, the main point I would like to highlight in the chart is the fact that soda consumption per day has been increasing and now it's part of our daily life. It has reached a higher place than milk in our life, even when there's multiple studies about the obesity and diabetes. Results doesn't tell us a lot about nowadays problem, but I can infer that society has adapted soft drinks into its lifestyle as much as it has discovered the truth about them. Soda and other sugary drinks have generated damage and addiction, and there is a long way to go to reestablish a healthy culture in our society. In this case, the author used the right chart because a line chart brings us the opportunity to follow the patterns in an easier way. Looking at the lines, and I think he decided to use this type of chart because it's easier to infer about the data. Identifying the steady lines, the peak of or the lines that are increasing or decreasing sharply. On the other hand, probably we can use a bar chart too if we arrange the information in a different way, separating the results year by year. And finally, as a recommendation, I think it's best to include children and teenagers in the data. Many of them are taking sugary drinks to school, parties, and due to that, they represent a great part of the clients. On the other hand, probably this study was about adults because they must take care about what their children consume, and they're the ones who can generate healthy spaces. If we take care about the what children eat, they probably will be less likely to develop sugar addictions. And another thing that caught my attention is the fact that mm, I disagree with the title. Just because it's not what the chart is showing me, I don't really see a dramatically increase in the food yes. Of course, it's increasing, but it doesn't look like a dramatically one. And I also disagree with the title because they're not being specific about if they're talking about the consumption worldwide or only a country. I can only infer that by the caption, so that may confuse the viewer. Okay, the second chart is a stacked bar chart, and the title is How Contagious is the Coronavirus? There's a legend under the title that brings a clearer information, indicating that the results are expressed in terms of average number of people infected by an individual with the following viruses. Also, below the chart, there is a caption with the source and the year of estimation, which are World Health Organization in January 2020. On the left of the stack bar chart, we can see in the labels of the bars the name of several viruses, and on the right, the length of the bars that show the average number mentioned earlier. In this chart, we observe in descending order the most contagious viruses. The first thing that caught my attention is the in this chart is that we can see that measles is the most contagious virus, following by smallpox, polio, and mumps. That is quite interesting because many of us think that COVID current emergency is due to the contagious that it is, but in contrast, the chart shows that among all the viruses represented there, COVID is one of the least contagious with Ebola, contagious viruses. After that, probably you're thinking like, what are the difference? between measles and COVID, and why are we facing this situation if if there are several viruses more contagious than COVID? Well, measles is more contagious than COVID, but nowadays measles is controllable by vaccines that are given that at an early age to prevent complex diseases from this virus. Also, both use the same mechanism mechanism of infection and has similar incubation time, but the largest difference between them is that many people infected with COVID are infected asymptomatically, which makes the spread of the virus more uncontrollable, as many people may be contributing to the spread of the virus without realizing it. And in conclusion, I would like to highlight in the chart the fact that in the case of the pandemic, although the coronavirus is less contagious than other viruses such as measles, but it was essential to reduce the average number of people infected by a single person with quarantine. Uh, so that this pathogen would disappear over time and contagion will not increase. I think that the author shows the right chart for the data because it's easy to understand, it's like action, and summarize the information in the best way that I can imagine. I think he decided to use that chart because by the more colored bar, you can infer the limits of the data, the lowest limit and the highest one. The author could have used also a pie chart, transforming the values in percentages and summarizing which viruses has the same contagiousness. Well, in my opinion, no information was missing. That's all. Thanks for listening to me. Bye.